Greetings, fellow men of culture. As always, I'm broadcasting live from the peak of Thundercock Mountain. American comic book superheroes are the perfect subject matter for awesome video games. Despite what Sony and Insomniac would have you believe, you don't need to have your widely beloved main character turn into a little bitch and cucked in their own game. I'm surprised they haven't replaced Wolverine's claws with dildos at this point. Turning an effortlessly cool character into something laughable is actually more difficult than just making a good game. Put Wolverine in it, give him claws and stuff to slash, instead of putting a chick in it, making it gay and making it lame. Just like anal cleansing coffee and midget wrestling, superheroes are mega mainstream these days, thanks to the MCU making superheroes cool instead of something you get bullied for liking. So it's no wonder we get games that essentially require you just to hold up on the analog stick to shove a finger in Wolverine's ass. It wasn't always like this. Development studios used to hire former bullied children to make amazing games for others who also love the medium and the characters. Rampaging all over the place or swinging around New York as Spider-Man without any weird deaf girl minigames. In this video, I want to talk about some superhero games from over the years that focus entirely on fun, and delivering the fantasy of actually having superpowers and playing as your favorite characters.
See ya, chump. What the hell?
I love Spider-Man. Every Monday night at 7 p.m., a cartoon channel named Teletoon would air two back-to-back episodes of the original 1967 Spider-Man cartoon. My dad and I would watch it together every week and laugh our asses off with the funny animation and sound effects.
You're gay.
This core memory, as well as the Sam Raimi films, helped form the basis of my fondness for the character. I only want to pick one Spider-Man game for this video, otherwise it would be 3 hours long. It shouldn't surprise anyone that the most popular hero in the world has a ton of video games. Spider-Man has an up and down track record in terms of quality when it comes to the medium. First Spider-Man game, and also the first game to feature a Marvel character, was simply titled Spider-Man for the Atari 2600, and playing it was like putting the Atari joystick in your urethra. But technology advanced, visuals started to closely resemble what they were intended to be, and by the 6th generation we got one of the best superhero games ever made. I was tempted to put Spider-Man for the PS1 here, but I think the Spider-Man 2 movie tie-in game was the first to make you actually feel like you're playing as the saucy, smegma-spewing Spider-Man. The fact that this game is 22 years old at the time of writing is crazy. Going back after the excellent swinging and moving of Insomniac's Spider-Man to this game shows how way ahead of its time the movement was. I remember this blowing my borderline mongoloid brain as a child. Flipping off of traffic light poles and wall running along buildings was something I didn't think was possible in a video game at the time, let alone making it feel this good. There's definitely some jank, especially when you first start playing. Swinging in Spider-Man 2 requires much more player skill than the newer games, which makes traversing New York look and feel effortless. But once you play for a few minutes and get some practice swinging around the city, playing as Spider-Man is just as fun in a 26-year-old game on the PS2 as it is in a 3-year-old game on the PS5. AAA developers don't have this kind of faith in their player base anymore. They don't trust players to work at getting better at certain aspects of their games, instead opting to automate and simplify mechanics so they're as brain dead as possible. Spider-Man 2 follows the plot of the film for its overall story arc, while peppering in some of Spider-Man's other famous villains along the way. Dr. Otto Octavius is trying to create a fusion power thing, but it explodes and kills his ugly wife. He blames Spider-Man for this for some reason, so he becomes Dr. Coctopus and they fight and kiss each other and stuff. Aside from swinging around New York, gameplay consists of beating up bad guys with a number of different melee and web attacks. Besides the main story missions, you can complete side missions such as saving people from falling off of buildings, taking people to the hospital, and stopping speeding cars. These earn you hero points that you can spend on upgrades like increased web swing speed and new combos to use in combat. This game also featured those infamously difficult pizza delivery missions with the now iconic pizzeria music. This guy doesn't know you're Spider-Man, but he still expects you to deliver 5 pizzas all across the largest city in the United States in like 2 minutes. Going back to Spider-Man 2 was a revelation. The Insomniac games are essentially evolutions of this exact formula, meaning Spider-Man 2 is still really fun to play today. The PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 era was an entirely different time for writing in video games. Before every game had to explore the main character's dark and tragic origin story and make every villain a relatable, sympathetic figure, we got games like Deadpool. I wasn't very familiar with Deadpool as a character when this game came out. There was a coworker of mine that I would chat about video games with pretty often, and he was super excited for this game and wouldn't stop telling me about it. And I remember telling him, "Put your dick away." Deadpool is exactly what you'd expect it to be. A third-person action game with tons of the character's signature self-referential humor and breaking the fourth wall. The game opens with the player given freedom to explore Deadpool's apartment, which is filled with over a dozen interactable gags, including taking a massive dump, complaining about how the developers didn't put enough effort into his apartment, and even calling his own voice actor on the phone.
I mean, see, here's the thing. People tell me we sound alike.
That sounds awesome, Deadpool. Listen, I had a different take on it. Maybe we just make you, maybe it's an alternative type of Deadpool,
Yeah, well, fuck you, Nolan.
During general gameplay, you'll be running around the place as Mr. Poole. You start out with your 2 swords and a pair of pistols, and you can switch between melee combos and third-person shooting during combat. Defeating enemies and exploring the environment earns you Deadpool points that can be spent on upgrades to Deadpool's stats, max ammo and max grenades, as well as new weapons like the shotgun and dual-wielded sledgehammers. I'm not going to tell you a filthy lie and say this is the best game ever made. Combat is pretty simplistic and repetitive, but even a shorter game that lacks depth, with this game's writing, is a breath of fresh air these days. The writers just put whatever they wanted into this thing. They go way outside the fourth wall, make tons of dick jokes.
I'm gonna sing the pee-pee song.
Nice dick.
The whole game is like a series of psychotic shitposts, and then it ends and your wife leaves you and takes the kids. Activision lost the license to sell games with Marvel characters in 2014, Deadpool was remastered for the PS4 and Xbox One in 2015, and then the license expired once again, so the game isn't officially available anywhere besides the used market, where the remastered versions of the game often sell for more than $100. However, the PC version is available through several means that won't cost you a dime, and I think Deadpool is an excellent, short and breezy 2 or 3 sitting game that's well worth getting the eye patch and peg leg out to play. I would like to say a brand new Punisher game made with current technology and modern expectations of violence in video games would be a creamy delight, but then I think about how awful the writing is in modern gaming, so I wouldn't play it anyway. Thankfully, we have a neutered version of the Punisher for PlayStation 2, Xbox, and PC. This game offers up pretty much anything a Punisher fan would want out of a video game starring the character. Taking place during flashbacks while Franklin Castle is being interrogated on Rikers Island, you play as the Punisher, essentially moving from place to place and destroying all human life that exists there that isn't a random woman. The very first mission is a raid on a crack house, and it's just perfect. Punisher can carry up to 3 weapons at a time, and any one-handed weapons can be dual-wielded, but they take up 2 weapon slots in exchange for looking badass. As you wipe enemies' filthy cheeks, you feel a meter that can be activated to enter Spartan Rage, where the Punisher puts his guns up his bum and instead fights with combat daggers for a short duration. The reason I call the game neutered is because of how much the violence had to be scaled back, to reduce the game's rating from adult only to mature. There's an interrogation mechanic where the Punisher can torture enemies to get information from them, and some of his methods are considered excessive by the Karens at the ESRB, so these scenes are rendered in black and white to soften the appearance of blood, and in some instances the camera pans away so you can hear what's happening but you can't see it. Emulated versions as well as the PC version have received fan-made mods that restore the game's original visuals for these interrogations, and are easily available for the whole family to enjoy. The Punisher isn't a mind-blowing, innovative experience, but it doesn't need to be. It does a great job of representing the character and putting fans right in the combat boots of Frank Castle to suffer from crippling PTSD and wipe out entire crackhead gene pools. With how technology has made making open-world games much more feasible, you would think more developers would take a shot at creating a massive playground for the Incredible Hulk to rampage through. Ultimate Destruction does just that, and still manages to be one of the best playable iterations of the character over 20 years after its release. The best playable Hulk we've gotten since Ultimate Destruction is probably from Marvel's Avengers, but that game restricts you to linear missions and was also kinda shit. I know I sound like a broken recording of my grandparents fucking while slathered in mayonnaise, but it really is eye-opening to go back to these old games and see just how ahead of their time they were. Ultimate Destruction has you playing as the Hulk, not Bruce Banner as a child, slowly walking through a flashback and talking about what he sees, or squeezing through a small crevice. You stomp around a big city and pick up cars like toys, break them in half and use them as big metal boxing gloves, with the innocent family of 4 still inside. Landing from a huge leap leaves a smoldering crater on the ground. Running up and along the sides of buildings shows the thing exploding under every step. Destroying the lives of innocent people builds up an emergency response meter that, when filled, triggers the military to send some guys to get crushed under Hulk's immaculate erect feet. The power fantasy of rampaging as the Incredible Hulk, smacking his giant green ball sack on the chin of Devil Hulk, has never been better represented than it is in this 21-year-old game. As usual, emulated versions of the game can be displayed in full HD and run at 60 FPS if you don't want to go back to the original presentation or don't own a 6th-gen console. And it's just as fun today as it was back in 2005. The side-scrolling 2D beat-em-up has made a great comeback in the past few years. Streets of Rage 4 brought the classic series back with beautiful hand-drawn art. Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge brought that franchise back to its beat-em-up roots. And Marvel Cosmic Invasion is better than both of them in my opinion. Made by the same developers as Shredder's Revenge, Cosmic Invasion lets you play as 15 famous and some obscure Marvel comic characters, each with their own unique and special moves outside of the basic combo. For instance, Wolverine has a grab that lets him slash enemy faces and throw them across the screen, while the same button on Iron Man shoots his hand blasters, Captain America throws his ricocheting shield, and so on. Unlike in Shredder's Revenge, where all the characters' special moves were nearly identical, in this game, each special move is unique to each character. Spider-Man spooges his webs all over enemies' faces, Iron Man has the big-ass laser cannon from Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and Ghost Rider rides his stupid little bike. While the basic gameplay is easy to pick up, there's a surprising amount of depth involved with playing Cosmic Invasion at a high level. Timing your defensive moves like blocks and counters, calling in your reserve character to extend combos, as well as using your special attacks iframes to avoid damage are key to racking up several hundred hit combos and keeping that sweet dopamine dripping. Every campaign stage is a hidden Cosmic Cube collectible, as well as 3 optional challenges that task you with hitting certain moves with particular characters, throwing enemies off the stage, or avoiding unique stage hazards. All 15 characters gain experience points as you fight, getting up to 10 levels that increase maximum health, activate a passive ability unique to each character, and unlocks a color palette at max level. If all of that doesn't offer enough replayability, there's a ton of stuff to unlock in this massive fuck-off grid, including soundtracks, character bios, and color palettes. This is the newest title in this video, so it's still getting updates and DLC. There's a Doctor Doom themed DLC planned for release later this fall, so if you really like the game and want more of it, there's more coming. I want to quickly go over some honorable mentions here. These are games that are definitely worth your time, but with some caveats that make me hesitate to recommend them over the other games. First is Guardians of the Galaxy. This may surprise some people because it's considered a sleeper hit, and I really enjoyed it. But if slowly walking around environments and hitting A on things to make your character think out loud annoys you, this game is filled with that. What sets Guardian of the Galaxy apart is the writing. This game doesn't suffer from the cringe millennial dialogue that similar big budget action games do. Character interactions are funny and genuine.
Imagine the glory of such a death. Our goal isn't death, Drax. Glorious death.
The soundtrack is excellent, and by the end of the game, you really feel like you've gone on an epic journey with a fumbling group of barely functioning autists. Next is the Batman Arkham trilogy. These games are all incredible, but there's nothing I can say here that hasn't already been said about a million times. If you somehow haven't played any of these games, I envy you because I wish I could play these for the first time again. X-Men Origins Wolverine is a movie tie-in that has no business being as fun as it is. It's incredibly violent, staying true to how Wolverine is portrayed in the comics. Hugh Jackman also reprises his role as Wolverine, which is notable considering how rare it is to see an actor portray their character's voice outside of the movie. The reason Origins Wolverine is an honorable mention is because it's incredibly short with zero replayability. However, if you're in the mood for a short but sweet action game, it's a fun playthrough. Lastly, there's the LEGO Marvel games. I can strongly recommend these only if you have children. Personally, I find the gameplay far too simplistic for me to play alone, but my 5-year-old son loves superheroes, and these games are easy enough for him to navigate with some guidance. These games also go on sale for dirt cheap all the time. I got the original Marvel superheroes for $4, and since all the characters are essentially palette swaps of the same base LEGO guy model, there's like a million characters to unlock in each game. There's my list of superhero games that I think will absolutely slap the pee-pee off Insomniac's Wolverine. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.